Hello, and welcome to Connecting Tucson with Jamie Overturf, broadcasting from Tucson Business Radio X, situated in Stuart-titled corporate offices on Broadway. Connecting Tucson is all about connecting our community, local businesses, and organizations to help our community grow and thrive. Today we have a very special guest in our studios, Kimberly Walker, president of Pima Paws for Life, an adoption guarantee shelter located right here in Tucson. Kimberly was born in Michigan, and her family moved here when she was 2 years old, so she's been here for quite a while. She has a love for animals since she was a small child and has had dogs, cats, horses, birds, and several other types of reptiles. So a very vast variety of animals. Kimberly has been involved in the animal welfare in Tucson for over 36 years and has worked professionally with animals her entire life. She wanted to start Pima Paws for Life in order to save animals that were being killed for illnesses and other problems that were easily treated here in Tucson. She enjoys painting, reading, and crafts when she can find the time. I'm excited to share her unique journey with us. Welcome, Kimberly, and thank you for coming on Connecting Tucson.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, Kimberly, I'm going to start off with something very easily. You've always been involved with animals and advocating for animal rights throughout your life. Tell us a little bit about your life prior to Pima Paws for Life and that journey that took you there.
Okay. Well, I actually started out in horses, working with horses, and we're talking, 15, 16 years old. Yes, I was already working and getting paid for that work. And then I moved. Yeah, well, yeah. It is a very physically demanding job. I could not do now what I did then. I can certainly tell you that. And I moved on from that. The first job that I think I really had ever was when I was hired by the Humane Society of Southern Arizona. We're talking, a lifetime ago. None of the people that were there then are there now.
Right.
But I was, I believe, 18 or 19 when I started there. And from then on, it's just been a forward motion. When I was no longer there, I began working at a grooming shop and learned how to groom. And I have been doing that, and I still do a little bit of that, not a lot, for clients that I've had for many years. And I did that for over 30 years while still pursuing doing animal rescue, doing specifically dog and cat rescue. For a long time, when it was just me running my own type of rescues and things like that, I was doing things like breed-specific rescue. I did German Shorthair rescue here in Tucson for a few years, and just doing my best to try to make a dent. And from there, I went on. I did do a small stint, actually, in between those things at Pima Animal Care Center, and this was a long time ago. I was probably in my mid-20s, and I think it was at that point, really, that it hit home how bad things really were. And as I said, this is not a reflection on the current status of that shelter, because I worked for them at a time when killing for space was perfectly acceptable, done all the time. And the slightest thing wrong with an animal, whether it was shy or sick or whatever, was plenty of reason. And lots of healthy animals got put to sleep. And I do have to say that although I think I lasted about 6 months, maybe between 6 months, 8 months, during my time there, I had witnessed things that have stuck with me to this day. And to this day, I think that I'm still trying to, in a sense, do penance for and atone for things that happened all those years ago, which is impossible. But I still try. Yeah, sure. So I feel that it was at that point, as I said, that my eyes were truly open to what a horrifying nightmare that was happening for a lot of the homeless animals in our community.
Right, and I think that is actually a very good point. I don't think many people's eyes are actually opened to, I guess, the type of things
No.
that can go on. And I think the education of that piece is very important. And yes, I do think we've taken some steps towards the right direction. I don't think we're anywhere near where we need to be. And I think what you're doing with Pima Paws for Life is something that is near and dear to my heart, as well as I think people would really like to participate in as well. So can you tell us a little bit about of things that are going on now that maybe we can talk about in the future and help educate people? What are some things that you're seeing now in the field versus before?
Versus before. Well, the things are greatly improved at our county shelter. There are always things that you would like to tweak. But yeah, it's not even the same planet as it was at the time that I was there, or even 6 years ago when we started Pima Paws for Life. And I would have to say that as that shelter improved, because when we first started, we were exclusively pulling from Pima Animal Care Center,
right?
Because we were trying to get the animals out of there that were still being euthanized for having kennel cough or ringworm, or
something that's easily treatable.
It was obscene, in my estimation. That's like a human being getting a cold and saying, "Oh, well, you're done." It's not. I'm not equating them with human life, but at the same time, I'm just trying to show people that this was the level. An upper respiratory infection. This isn't a life-threatening situation for them. But once they started to improve and their numbers were better as far as their outcomes, as far as their live release rates, and in other words, the animals that were getting out of there in one piece.
Right.
After about a year of pulling exclusively from them, we still continue to pull some from them, but we have also taken animals from outlying shelters now that are very poor. They're in areas where they either have just a really, really bad shelter situation. They don't have money. They don't have anything to run it as well as they should. And I'm even talking about those county shelters, outlying counties,
right?
Where they have very, very poor facilities, and they have no money for treatment. They have no money for anything. So we've pulled some animals from them. We've also pulled quite a few animals in the past 2 years, I would say, from reservations, specifically the San Carlos Reservation. We've pulled quite a few animals from the San Carlos Reservation. And the thing there is that that's an area near Globe that there is no pound, there is no nothing. And they have, I believe, if my memory serves, they have about a 75%, about a 75% unemployment rate there. So the people are not in a position to take care of their animals.
Right. Or to help, even if they did have a shelter, to be able to help with treatments and everything, and food and costs that I'm sure are. Well,
so we're seeing a lot of animals from there, but we also do take in quite a few animals from just people, just average citizens in Tucson who have found an animal that really needs our help. We occasionally get calls from veterinary clinics that maybe a Good Samaritan brought an animal in and it was hit by a car or something else, that they're not going to hold it. They're going to, if they can't find an owner, or if maybe it even was the owner that can't afford treatment.
Right.
And so they want to know if we're able to take it. And we are a small facility, but we take in as many as we can, and with the focus continuing to be on the ill and injured animals.
Oh, well, you are just amazing. You and your crew and your volunteers are just amazing. Some of the things that I've seen on social media, what you've been able to do has just been inspiring. And I can hear the passion.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I can hear the passion and love that you have for these animals and just want to be able to help them. And it was kind of like a natural step from you moving to the, PACC to your opening up your own Pima Paws for Life. So tell us about how that transitioned and who all helped form it, and how did Pima Paws for Life actually come about?
Well, Pima Paws for Life started at the time. Dawn Rasnick, who is a friend of mine, she She was the first person. She started No Kill Pima County here in Tucson. And then she brought myself and a few other interested parties in to help grow that organization. Today, it's a flourishing organization here in Tucson. They do great things. Mm-hmm. And before that even happened, I was working for animal boarding facility. And we had a large one, dog and cat boarding. Mm-hmm. And I was very, very close with the owners. And I said, you know, we have these 50 kennels over here, indoor, outdoor dog kennels and stuff that we only use during the holidays. You know, that's the only time we really use them. And the rest of the time they're just sitting. I wonder if we could find a way to get some sort of a deal with animal control so that we could bring the dogs and stuff over here that have upper respiratory infections and put them over here and until they're well so that they can be adopted. Well, at the time that was met with a flat no by the leadership of the time, that was not going to happen. And so I kind of let go of that a little bit. Mm-hmm. And then we did end up with the No Kill Pima County. And as No Kill Pima County was still very fledgling at the time, and my personal interest, although I think what they do is very important, I wanted to do something now right. to make an impact on those animals that were sitting at that were continuing to be euthanized. So approached leadership again. There was a leadership change, and there was a lot of pressure being put on them. And at that point in time, and Pima Paws for Life, we formed that. Myself and Dawn came onto that as well. And Tammy Barrick and, oh my gosh, Lori Gaetano. Those were the first people. You know, it was the four of us at first who were trying to get this going. And amazingly, I put out a call, and, you know, we went ahead and got our 501c3 paperwork and that kind of thing. We got to deal with the county, which you have to jump through some hoops to get that done as well. But we did get that done. And we rented the kennel space, you know, which had a huge yard, plus a building, plus the kenneling and that kind of thing. And we rented that from my, at the time, employer. And I put out a call and I said, hey, we're going to start a new animal shelter right here. And this is what we're going to be doing, is pulling all these animals out of animal control that are sick. And I was honestly kind of surprised at how many people, you know, we had a few people show up to help us start clearing out weeds, because it was not a used area, you know, clearing out weeds and everything and painting the interior of the building. And it was really, I was really touched by that. And most of those people are still a part of us, you know, one way or another, whether they still do volunteer work or that kind of thing. So it's really been awesome. But that's basically where it started. Was I just really, really, and as well as my colleagues, wanted to just be able to go down there and get them out of there.
Exactly.
And get them the help that they needed. And so we contracted with them for a year. And we were paid, yes. It was, the deal was $17 a day per animal, no matter what the treatment costs were, no matter what happened. And at the end of 14 days of treatment, if the animal wasn't well enough to come back, then we had the option of returning it anyway or keeping it.
Oh,
you know, and it just being signed over time. No, it is not. So luckily we were a 501c3, so we were able to supplement with donations, that kind of thing. And we did take some healthy animals back to be adopted. We did have a really good relationship with the rescue coordinators that were there at the time, and said, if anything happens with this dog, and then we started on cats as well, call us, let us know. I will come back and get it. And we did have to do that a few times.
And I think that's really important because a lot of times people will pull and then bring back, and then not, if something happens to them, there's no chance usually. So.
Right. So we had it set up pretty well, and then they kind of decided they could do this on their own, and we said okay, and we started. So now at this point, we're just completely funded out of the from the kindness of strangers, as they say.
And we will get to that, I promise. But there's now you guys just do such amazing work. What is Pima Paws for Life, and what is its mission? What is your mission, and what is your objective?
Well, our objective really is to save as many animals as we can, and as far as being an adoption guarantee shelter, that's also kind of another way of saying a no-kill animal shelter. And what that means is that it does not mean that we never would ever put an animal to sleep. What it means is that unless an animal is suffering with no hope of recovery, in which case, you would, that's the humane thing to do, is to put them to sleep. But other than that, we don't put them down for any reason. So, yeah, go ahead.
I think that's a very valid point of differentiation, because I do hear a lot of different types of different shelters that are out there, from a no-kill to an animal guarantee shelter to a rescue group to other things. Can you tell us a little bit about the differences between the different types of shelters and rescue groups out there, and what like a no-kill shelter will do versus a rescue, or maybe just a community shelter? Like how does the inner workings work?
Right. Well, a lot of even county shelters are trying now to improve their images, and I can't speak obviously for the entire country, but because there are still some really, really bad areas of the country where it just people just don't care enough to make enough noise to get the change that needs to come about. And No Kill Pima County, I will say, they were one of the groups that were just continuously poking the bear until finally we started to get some good changes happening. But a lot of the municipal shelters, they don't necessarily call, if they say that, the basis of saying that you're no kill, which is another way of saying adoption guarantee facility, is that you have a certain percentage of save rate, a certain rate of animals that live out of all the animals you have. Now, and my gosh, I'm going to say it's 92%, and I'm probably wrong. But I believe that's the number. I believe that's the number that they aim for.
Got it.
And in order to be able to say, well, hey, we've hit this save rate, which means that we can call ourselves a no-kill shelter.
Okay, and what's your rate?
Having said that, there is really more to it than just the numbers.
Got it.
And I do think that a lot of places are focusing too much on the numbers, because then what ends up happening is maybe you're pushing animals out that shouldn't necessarily be going out. Animals that are, really just need to be let go because they're suffering. But again, our save rate has never fallen below 98%.
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
And that's taking into account that everything that we have taken in, well, not everything, I will not say that, but that we focus on taking in the ill and injured animals. Most of the animals that we've had that have not survived have been animals that were, for example, we had one female dog come in a few years ago that was at the end of kidney failure, and there was just there was nothing that could be done, essentially. And you count those, you count everything. You count the animals that maybe were born at the shelter that didn't survive. It's just basically what veterinarians refer to it as failure to thrive. sometimes you'll have kittens or puppies that do that. It just, no matter what you do, they just don't gain weight. They don't, from the moment they're born, they just don't make it. But the point is, with being accountable and being honest, you have to attribute everything, whether it was an animal that already came in that was extremely ill and didn't have any chance of surviving and was just going to suffer, to animals that, that were born there that maybe just couldn't make it. But you have to count all of them.
Yeah, you do. And it's just sad, some of the stories that I've heard from Dawn and what I see on your social media. It's just heart-wrenching, some of the things that I see.
It can be. And I've cried many times. We've had animals come in who we thought had a good chance of making it. And then after extensive medical tests and x-rays and things like that, found out that it wasn't going to happen. And that's devastating, and quite honestly, we take it personally.
Yeah.
I take it very personally. I feel that when we take them into our organization, we have made a commitment to them,
right? And
that they are going to get the best care possible. That whether it's veterinary care, getting their playtime, getting their mental exercise, and just being all around healthy, and that we're going to do our very best. And once we're committed to doing that, that's where we're at. And I don't like to lose. And every time we
I think that's what I like
animal,
best about you. You don't like to lose. You will not give up.
No, I don't. I don't like to lose. I get there's some anger there, and people said, well, you get angry about this. And I said, leave me alone. My anger is what keeps me going sometimes.
Sometimes that's all you've got. You've got to dig deep, and you just got to use that and move forward and see what you can do, because there might be something that you hadn't thought of before, and then it happens. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's just, you have to have some energy come up from somewhere that says, no, this isn't going to happen this way. This isn't going to be the end of the story.
Exactly. So how does PPFL, Pima Paws for Life, differ from other shelters or rescues?
Excuse me. We're different primarily in that we are small, which means we don't take in a lot.
Mm-hmm.
A big part of that is simply because a lot of the animals do require a lot of extra care, and part of that is just to restraints as far as physical building capacity and that kind of thing. And we do have a few fosters, but not many. Mm-hmm. But our primary, I would say that is our primary difference from other shelters, is that our focus is on the animals that have physical problems. We do take in animals that don't, but by and large, that is our focus.
Do you have people that come and surrender animals directly to you, or do you find you're pulling more from shelters?
No, we actually probably have more at this point in time coming directly from the public. People call us and say, can you take this? Unfortunately, a lot of times we have to say no, mm-hmm. but we, if it's possible for us to say yes, we do. But again, a lot of them are, we try very hard to say yes and make room for the ones that are in trouble, that are physically in trouble, whether they've been hit by a car or they're extremely ill or they've been physically abused in some way, that they've got to get that help as soon as possible. They've got to get that medical help.
Right. So now that we're talking about that type of medical help that you're talking about, you've mentioned, what type of services and programs do you offer?
Well, at this point, because of the pandemic, because of COVID, right. Yeah. We did have a lot of volunteering going on. Unfortunately, that's kind of almost come to a complete halt. We welcome volunteers of all ages. We have had a lot of children come and volunteer. We don't have a problem with that at all, as long as the parent stays with them. And we love the fact that there are kids that want to come and volunteer, because I think it's very important for them to get that sense of what it feels like to give of yourself and do something for the community, and how that feels, because that's your pay. You know, that's how you get paid, is by feeling good about what you've accomplished just for the sake of doing something nice for somebody else or someone else or something. And we do offer animals for adoption, of course. And so we do have, and again, though, at this point in time, we're having people call us and say, hey, I want to come in and look at this dog, so that we're not having a steady stream of people coming in and out, because that's problematic. Yeah, the pandemic is really, and obviously we do take animals in from the public, so that's definitely a service.
Yeah, and I was just about to ask that, because you had mentioned that you rely heavily on donations and volunteerism from the community, and with the pandemic being worldwide, I'm sure many shelters, not just yourself, are feeling some of the cutbacks that people are making. How is this really affecting Pima Paws for Life from the services and programs that you're able to move forward with?
Well, we're hurting. We're definitely starting to feel it at this stage of the game. The vast majority of our volunteers are more or less staying away just for their own safety. We do have a few volunteers that have been with us for years and years, who are still coming, but they're very careful. They don't even go inside the buildings. You know, they're just like, here's the dog bag, give me another one, and doing the masks and the hand sanitizer and everything, because we want to keep everybody safe.
Right.
And but at this point, we can't have just a bunch of new volunteers coming in, and we definitely can't have the kids coming in and things like that. And as far as donors go, we're primarily funded. Most of our money that we get are from people that are just average people with average bank accounts, who are giving us, $20 a month, $10 a month, $50 a month, that kind of thing. That's the vast majority of them. And at this point in time, a lot of them, because they'll be on an automatic payment every month.
Right. So you have, going to ask you, have something like that maybe if you can't give, even $5 might help, correct? Like even.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, we have some people that are giving $5, but the problem is right now, even you've got a couple of problems. You've got the problem of people losing their jobs, and having to cut back. And so people who are able to give you even just the smaller amounts, which is fantastic because it all adds up, have paused their giving right now. So there's about 40 people that I last checked that have not canceled but paused their online giving. And then on top of that, we can't hold any fundraisers, not any in-person fundraisers, any plans that we had for basically the entire year to do anything in person to make people more aware of us and to raise funds is gone. It's gone because of this.
Oh, that is so heartbreaking. And well, I know people maybe not be able to give money, but is there other items that people can donate to maybe help? Food, blankets? What can the community do to help maybe lower some of those costs?
We can always use the canned dog food. We normally tell people the ground kind, and we usually have, if they've got a Costco membership, that's great. They can go to Costco and get a case of their canned dog food for $19, which is fantastic price.
It is.
We do normally have enough dry food because we go through Cody's Friends, which is another great organization here in Tucson that specifically helps not just rescues, but your average person who needs food for their pets. And we buy it from them by the pallet. So we usually get big chunks at a time, and what we pay for that is freight. So there is some money there too, but not a lot. But things like, and we do have the cats. Can't forget about our poor kitties.
I was going to say, you have cats too.
Yes, we do have kitties. We got kitties. Right now we have 17 kittens, little kittens, and we're slowly getting those ready to get out of there and hopefully get adopted out. They all came from feral mama cats. So they were very tiny when we pulled them, so that they weren't totally freaked out by human beings. And so we do have the kitties that we can always use some canned cat food for them. They prefer the pate style as well, and the dogs for some reason do too. I don't know why. They like the pate style dog food. And yeah, you know, things like that. We're pretty good right now on things like blankets. It's just dog treats are always great. We ask that people don't give us rawhide treats because we don't feed those to the dogs.
Right.
Rawhide is one of those things that you really need to be able to observe the dog chewing on it in case they get a chunk off.
Yeah.
Right. And we are not in a position to do that. So
like
we could always use that. Yeah, milk bones. You know, I've found some of the cheaper ones at the grocery store treats are, you know, like the Vitabones. I don't know what it is about Vitabones, but they're low cost, crunchy little treats, and the dogs really like them. My personal dogs like them, and I've got some picky dogs. They're all rescues. It's funny how that ends up working out. You know, they're eating out of garbage cans one day, and the next day they're like, I'm not eating that.
No, I want that good stuff.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, what's that?
You see the personality start to come out when you start, you know, they start knowing that they're taken care of and people are there to help them. I see, and I've seen that with rescues, and I think that's part of why I really love with what you do. Like, you see they're different on the streets than when they come into your home.
Absolutely.
And once they get into your home and they know, I literally have fostered a couple of them, and you know, when their first night, they sleep like 18 to 20 hours because they know they're safe.
They do.
And
they do.
It's just heartbreaking because they haven't been able to get rest. And, you know, you're crying and you're petting them and you're like, okay, you're safe, my baby.
Right.
It's just
absolutely.
One of those. Yeah. So
absolutely.
And you did mention you're a 501c3. So at that point, are any of the monetary donations, they are tax deductible? Do you offer receipts? How does that work?
Yes, we do offer receipts, and we try very hard to keep track of everybody's stuff coming in so that we can send out a letter. And if people write checks, of course, their check works as a receipt as well, besides the receipt that we give you. And you know, it's a tax deductible as far as the limits of whatever the IRS will, of course, allow you to deduct. But yes, we are a 501c3, so we are a tax exempt charity that you can definitely use those if you're able to itemize your donations.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, if you're just tuning in, you're listening to Connecting Tucson with Jamie, where we focus on connecting our community, local businesses, and organizations to help our community grow and thrive. As your local insurance professional for all of your insurance needs, business and personal lines, I know how important it is to make lasting connections right here in our Tucson community. You never know how a connection will create a spark or pull you in a unique direction. If you are a small business owner or involved in a community project and you would like to be featured on the show, please feel free to give me a call. All of my information is on TucsonBusinessRadioX.com, and I would just love to hear from you. Today we're talking with Kimberly Walker, president of Pima Paws for Life, an adoption guarantee shelter, which we also learned is another name for a no-kill shelter, located right here in Tucson, Arizona. And Kimberly, we've been talking about how people can help in our community and the rehabilitation processes for these unadoptable or difficult animals that our normal shelters like PACC might have a hard time finding. How does that rehabilitation process work for these types of animals? You talked about having a few fosters, but are they all done in-house? Do veterinarians come in? Do you have certain professionals come in to help rehabilitate maybe behavioral issues if they're not just medical? How does that look?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got, first of all, let me back up. That was a few questions at once.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. That's
Go
fine.
for it.
You're going for it. Yeah. Well, yes, we do. The vast majority of the animals stay at our shelter. As I said before, we are small, so we're not overcrowded. We don't have so many that they're not getting the proper care. And I shouldn't even say proper care, but nobody gets shortchanged, I should say, on what's going on with them. A lot of them come in with problems that are not going to be a quick fix. So that process can take a while, whether it's a physical problem or a psychological problem. And for example, we just got in a dog that we've chosen to name Gabriel after the angel. And he is the sweetest dog ever. He came off of the San Carlos Reservation. The people said that he was already on his way to dying, so they were just going to let him do that. His previous owners. And so a wonderful woman named Julie, who lives on the reservation, works on the reservation, and does animal rescue up there. God love her. She sees a lot of things that I don't want to see. And she pulls animals, asks us, as well as several other groups, whether or not they've got room to take. And I said, yes, we will take him. He has severe mange, and he had some sort of an abscess that must have exploded on the top of a foot, which top of his front foot. So he had like a big hole in the top of his foot. So we're treating for that. He has tick fever, which all of these things are treatable. You know, all of these things are, you know, mange medication is nowadays you can give them oral flea and tick treatment like Simparica, which is what we did for him. And that will not only get rid of the ticks and fleas, but it also actually kills mange mites. So once he said that, you know, okay, we're working on those things. And we do have a veterinarian that comes in. She comes in when we need her to, is once a week usually is how much she comes in, unless we don't need her for a week. She's always available to us. I can call her or text her anytime that I need to, and that would be Dr. Farrell, who works out of the Pet Doctor Clinic on Orange Grove and Oracle. And I can't say enough good things about her. She's been fantastic. She's quick. She's thorough. She really knows what she's doing, and does not have a problem with coming to our shelter to help us out with the animal.
That's wonderful.
And give us help in between. If I call and say, we have a kitten with upper respiratory, okay, how much does it weigh? And, you know, here, we'll do this. So she's been fantastic. And we do work with Rachel at Soul Dog when we have animals come in that have psychological issues that we just don't feel comfortable with dealing with.
Okay.
Rachel is phenomenal with dogs that are maybe dog aggressive, or we think they might be dog aggressive. So we'll send them to her for evaluations, that kind of thing. And she can let us know if this is something that, no, it's just from being locked up, or, you know, or the dog just doesn't like other males, or whatever the case may be.
Right. She's able to pinpoint.
Exactly. But it's a much safer situation to have her do it with her personal pack of dogs, because
they're trained.
They're trained. They know not to react. If a dog reacts towards them, they don't blow it out of proportion, which is what would probably happen if we did that at the shelter to try to test these things.
Exactly.
So she's great for that. And we also have had Nancy McDonald come in to do massage therapy on another reservation dog that we got, who, when he was found on the reservation, he was very thin, and he must have been hit in the head because he had some little damage to his eye, and he was basically walking in a circle. He was unable to walk a straight line. He had his head tilt, and he was walking in a circle. So the veterinarian thought that, you know, he probably had some sort of head trauma. And Kobe, he actually just got adopted to some people who have just been
Yay.
wanting him. And, a wonderful home. He's never going to have to worry about being treated that way again. Again, he had tick fever coming off the reservation. We tend to just treat them for tick fever.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even do a test because it's a real problem.
It's a common problem up there, yeah.
Very common problem.
We started talking about all of these different types of programs and services that you provide for these animals. On average, how much does it cost per animal to, provide them the services and the care and the medication and the food that you need per day?
Oh, boy.
Animal per day. Give a best
animal
estimate.
Per day.
Mm-hmm.
If I were going to break it down,
mm-hmm.
It can go anywhere from, it probably costs us anywhere from $25 a day up. And when I say up, it just, because we've had dogs that needed $5,000 surgeries.
Right. Broken legs.
For broken legs, hip repair. We have one dog right now who came from Mexico, and the repair that was done on his leg was not done properly. So now we need an orthopedic consult for him to see if we can fix it. And as I was saying before, once we've taken them in, and a lot of times when you're rescuing, you might have an idea of what the problems are, but you never really know 100% what you're dealing with. And sometimes you get surprises. But once you've made that commitment, you've made that commitment.
Exactly.
So you have to find a way to raise the money to meet and basically honor those promises.
What you promised for the animal and the other. Yes, absolutely. And
yeah, exactly.
How many animals or dogs and cats can you bring onto the facility? I know you said you were small, but how many animals are we looking at right now?
I think right now we have 20 cats, and I'm trying to mentally do a head count here of the dogs. I
think
there
names.
Are. Yeah, I basically am. Yeah, because they all have a name with us.
Exactly.
We've got, let's see, 1, 2. I'm gonna say 15 dogs right now, which doesn't sound like a lot, but they are. And I mean, compared to other shelters,
right?
It's
but
not.
These are dogs that have either behavioral issues or they actually have medical issues that the other shelters just don't have time to do.
Exactly.
So I mean, you're taking on the most risk, is what I think. In my opinion, you guys are taking on the more undesirable of the dogs that will definitely not be adopted. If they have a broken leg or if they have an upper respiratory infection, people aren't going to come in and adopt those types of animals.
Right. Those are things that have to until they're healthy, right?
Exactly.
And we spend a lot of money doing that, and we spend, our adoption fee for dogs is $125, and that doesn't even begin to cover the costs, which is why we're always, really desperately in need of donations, because it just doesn't. And your average person has no idea what it costs to do this. Plus, when you have a facility, of course, you have it like
you've got the building,
business radio. You've got your building, you've got your electric, you've got your water, you have your staff, you have, and those are just your normal bills that you're always going to have. And I do like doing it this way, in the sense that at any given moment, we can know exactly what's going on with every single animal. And foster-based groups are great too, but we're all serving kind of a different purpose. Niche. We all have our different niche. Yes, exactly. Definitely.
Well, I have to say, I know that what you do is a labor of love, and it can have so many different emotions throughout the day. Has there been a specific rescue or rehabilitation that has stuck with you over the years?
Boy, there's been a few. A couple that didn't turn out the way that we had wanted. Mm-hmm. Those always tend to stick with you, unfortunately.
Right. What about a happy
even
one?
More so. A happy one would be Rocky.
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 I think I remember Rocky.
Do you remember Rocky?
I do.
He was orange and white once he got his hair back. And he was also a reservation dog. And he came in just emaciated, covered with sores and scabs, very little hair. He had a lot of skin thickening because he had suffered with mange for so long. He was anemic because he had tick fever, long-term tick fever. He was kind of a mess. And just the before and after pictures of him, I still look at them and just stunning, the difference. And the photos show that, but the photos show a little bit as well of his internal transformation, because when he came in, he was just curled up in a ball,
shy,
and
scared,
very defeated. Defeated is the only way I can really say it. Some of these animals, they come in and they're like, why don't you just let me die? Because they're so miserable and they just don't have any hope that life is ever going to be any better. And they're suffering. And once you get them to the point where they're feeling a little better, they're like, oh, well, I have fresh food multiple times a day, and this is good stuff. And oh, somebody brought me some boiled chicken, and and they're getting the medication.
And that's when you see their personality come out to say, no, I no longer want the garbage. I want that boiled chicken.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe we have a little bit to do with that, with the way we take care of them, because they come in and they're sick and they're like, oh, you need some boiled chicken.
There you go.
So some chicken breast, boneless, skinless chicken breast. And we can always use that as a donation as well. We can always use, I always tell people the cheapest place to get that is at Walmart. You can buy an entire flat for about $12 of boneless, skinless chicken breast.
Well, I'll make sure to put that on my website so people know when they're there. Absolutely.
Yeah, because it's, everywhere else, I don't know why it's so expensive everywhere else, but there it's normally really good deal. And we do boil that, and we do give that to the animals that aren't feeling well. And it's important to give them food like that and that it's warmed up, because animals, dogs and cats, both go by whether or not they're going to eat something is by what they smell, not by what they taste.
Just like when a human's sick, like that chicken soup that gives you back to that, oh, that's going to help me, make me better type thing, I think, almost, in that mentality.
Yeah, exactly. And if they can't smell it, which a lot of dog foods and stuff, they can't really smell it anyway. And if they're all congested and that kind of thing, they just turn away. They say, I don't want that. So you have to give them something that's a little bit higher value.
Exactly. Yeah. So we're almost done
exactly.
Here. Is there anything that we haven't gone through that you'd like the listeners to know?
Don't forget about us. You probably didn't even know that we existed before. We still hear that because we don't have a big advertising budget. We don't have a big marketing thing. Pretty much all of our money just goes straight back into taking care of the animals and making sure that they get what they need. So just remember us when if you decide that you want to donate somewhere or drop off some dog food, that we're here. And as well as if you're looking for your next family pet, remember that we're here. And feel free. I know right now is a bad time for everybody, but feel free to give us a call if you want to come down and look at any of our animals. And we're definitely, we have a website, although it's not nearly as active and updated, which is my fault, as the Facebook page is. The Facebook page, for anybody who is on Facebook, that's just a continuous running of things that are going on in the animals that we have and what's happening with them, and videos of them and everything else, and photos. So
yes, it is. That's where I see all of my Facebook updates.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yes, we definitely just try to remember we're here.
And that's going to be my goal. I'm going to make sure that everybody that I know has the word out and making sure that you need some outpouring of some love, especially right now during COVID. And thank you so much for sharing your time and your story and your journey on how Pima Paws for Life came on. It's just inspiring and amazing. And thank you for all that you do for the animals that are out there that really need the help, that I think need the extra time and attention and love and just that extra touch. And I think that's what Pima Paws for Life does, and which is why I'm always trying to help when I can.
Well, thank you so much, Amy, and really appreciate the support.
Absolutely. And that is all for Connecting Tucson with Jamie here at Stewart Title Studios. If you like the show, please let us know. You can find Pima Paws for Life online at pimapawsforlife.org or go to their Facebook page, Pima Paws for Life. You can see them there. Just search that in the top bar and that'll pull up here in Tucson. Or you will also find all of their information, including their phone number, website, Facebook, on TucsonBusinessRadioX.com with Connecting Tucson with Jamie. As always, do not be afraid to step out of your comfort zone and make that new connection. You never know where it might lead. Until next time, this is Jamie Overturf with Farmers Insurance. Keep on making unique connections, Tucson.